Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you are starting this year full of hope and optimism for the future and a whole bunch of excitement and enthusiasm for what you're going to accomplish, learn, grow, and achieve this year. Today, I want to share with you a process I use to reflect back on my year as a way to anchor in memories and learnings, but also to help create a focus for this next year. This is the same process I use each month and quarter to review and reflect in order to celebrate my wins and guide me for the next month. If you don't have a system for reviewing how you spent your time, just get out your calendar and start going back through the weeks. Or if you journal, take out your journal and review your entries. You can also go back through your phone and look at the pictures you took throughout the year. Or do all the above. Just spend at least 10 to 15 minutes reviewing this past year to gain some learnings. I use all of the above, but I also start by looking at my monthly and quarterly reports, which have my purpose statement at the top, my word of the year, my desires or goals in the 5 key areas of my life that I've chosen to focus on, my plan for making progress on those goals, and a review of how well I did on focusing on those goals included in it. So for 2024, my purpose statement was as follows: to align my work with God's purpose for me, to create deep connections and memorable moments with my family, to share what I learned to create a positive impact in the lives of many. My word of the year was align. I first review my purpose statement and ask myself a few questions related to it. Did I allow time and space to connect with God to hear and understand His purpose for me? Did I create the deep connections and memorable moments with my family? Am I sharing what I learn with others in a way that can be positively impacted? In what ways did I align myself with my purpose statement? And so, if you don't have a purpose statement, maybe just take some time to ask yourself a few questions about how you did and what you focused on. But as I reflect on these questions for myself and I look over my monthly reports, I look for evidence and times that I felt like I did carry out my purpose and how I aligned myself with it. I also look for times when I didn't feel like I was living my purpose, when I was really not in alignment. And then I asked, why did that happen? Once I go through that, then I look at the 5 areas of my life that I chose to focus on. This past year, I focused on my health, finances, purposeful work, relationships, and personal projects. I look at my desires or my goals in each of these areas and ask myself a few questions. How much progress did I make on these goals? Where did I start and where am I at now? So how much of it did I make progress on? What were my biggest wins or maybe my aha moments? What did I learn about myself, my strategies, my plans, and the challenges I faced? What ways did I shift my focus to be more in alignment with what was important to me? Do I have any regrets related to any of these areas? So that go through and I kind of look through those 5 areas and just kind of briefly get a picture of the progress I made, my wins, what I learned about myself, any times that I shifted in alignment or focus, and really something that I've really regretted. And lastly, I generally look back on over the year after going through all my monthly reports, my calendar, my journal to celebrate myself and all I have done over the year. And I do this by asking myself another set of questions. What were my most important wins? What were some of the key events or experiences I had? What were some of the biggest shifts I made, like in my vision, my standards, or my focus? What were some surprises I learned about myself? And what am I most proud of? So this is generally just kind of anchoring in this last year. So we for me, it's like it goes back and I get to celebrate some of those things that I may have forgotten that I've done over the year and really hone in on the learnings and the shifts that I made that really has made me a better person. So here's a brief look at my year in review. So some of the most important wins that I have pulled out of 2024 when I was reviewing was that I am now an officially a published author. I am one of 10 authors of the book The Strength to Shift by Kelly Snyder that came out in September. And I have now, like, that was a goal of mine for years to be an author and really a published author because I guess you could say that I am an author as I publish my blogs on a weekly basis. But my idea was to having it in a book, and I did that. I completed that. That was a good win for me. I also created my website, Positive Solutions for Life, that I publish my weekly blogs on. I have maintained my weight loss that I did last year, so I'm really proud of myself for not like gaining it back. I have published 2 podcast episodes a week for the entire year, and I've interviewed 42 amazing guests in the process. And I got paid to speak at a conference, which I really wasn't expecting to get paid for. I just did it because I liked the topic, which was about mental health. And it was just, I felt good doing it, but I also got paid for it. So I was happy about that. I implemented some of the concepts from the book Profit First that I had read, and I created a plan to pay off our land loans in half the time. And that was something that was just like eye opening to me. Just implementing some of those concepts and creating a plan just really kind of made me feel like I am in control and I have the power to control my finances in a way that's going to be beneficial to our family. So that was really some good wins of mine. So the next question is what were some of my key events or experiences I had in 2024? And when I did this, I was really focused on family. Really, I traveled and watched my daughter Shayla play volleyball 6 different times, including 2 games in the NCAA tournament. I traveled and watched my daughter Kaylin play, or not play, but compete at outdoor track regionals in Arkansas and then again in nationals in Oregon. We celebrated our daughter Leah's wedding and we were able to take a little vacation with our 2 youngest kids to the Black Hills, and that was a beautiful time. And also, I took time this summer to take my mom around to visit assisted living facilities, thinking that we would need it, sometime in the future, which I was so glad I did because she ended up needing it a little sooner than we had anticipated. And we actually got her to move. We got her moved in and she is loving it. So another question, the other third question is what are some of the biggest shifts I made in my vision, standards, and focus? So for this, my word of the year came to mind, alignment, aligning. Aligning what I do and why I do it has really reduced the stress and pressure that I've put on myself. When I align my head and my heart, and I realize that it really does, my head and heart does need to be aligned and on the same page in order for really, these important things to happen in a timely manner. So I need to take the time to quiet my mind in order to listen to my heart and to hear what it really has to say for me and what is really important and why it is important, before taking action on any decisions that I've made. So otherwise, my motivation is not going to be there to help me carry through when challenges come up. So this sometimes is not a process that comes quickly. Sometimes it takes weeks or to do, and I need to ponder it. We pondering it, just like taking time for it to permeate within me to see if it's really something that I want to do. Time for me to ask myself questions and wonder, think about what roadblocks and obstacles or challenges might come into play. But once I've aligned my head with my heart with my head, and determine why it's important, it's just an easy thing for me to do and take action on. Another shift that I've made is that I've realized that creating a positive impact in the world really starts in my home, in raising our kids with good Christian values to be responsible, respectful, and hardworking adults while role modeling it. I have to actually role model that. And a good place to start to making an impact in the world is in my own family. So, the fourth question: what were some surprises I've learned about myself? I learned that I can do a 3-day water fast, not be starved, cranky, miserable, and I actually enjoyed the process and will likely do it again and again just because it felt so good. The last question: what am I the most proud of? This question, I had to stop and think for a while, but really all the work I've done over the years in personal development, taking care of myself, and stress management, I can say that I feel like I have handled myself pretty well physically, mentally, and emotionally this past year. And especially over the last 3 months, with everything that was going on in my life and the pulls and the stress and the struggles and lots of just time things that just really, really took a lot out of me, um, but not anything that I don't like to do. But I was just able to just get through it with more ease without blowing up at anybody, really. So I was really proud of that for myself for doing that. After I go through all of these questions, then I usually try to ask myself one last question, which is, what are some things I want to remember or pay attention to as I plan for next year? So when I think about this, I think back on, what has really helped me. And one of the things is that I want to remember to schedule the time to reflect just a little bit every day, every week, monthly, do my monthly reports and reviews, and quarterly do the same thing. As it is too easy to put off and not get around to it, but it really helps me stay focused on what it is that I want and stay intentional. It also really helped me to anticipate the busy times. So I want to remember to, before I get going for this year, is to make a list of what usually happens or what is already on the calendar each month so I can really focus in on saying no to projects or requests that come in that would stress my ability to function well and complete the tasks that I've already on my calendar. The last thing that I kind of thought about as that what I want to remember as I plan for this next year is really to be more intentional and present with others. This is something that I struggle with a lot, and I just think that it's because I have so many things going on. But I really want to limit my distractions and multitasking when I'm with other people, because part of my purpose statement is making memorable moments. And I need to remember that memorable moments can happen at any time, any moment of the day, but they're only going to be memorable if I'm fully present in the moment. So that was my review, just a brief review of my last year, 2024. And so as I finish this, now I can start focusing on this coming year, using the same frameworks as I did for last year, creating a purpose statement, which could be the same, I don't know, deciding on my word of the year, choosing the key areas of my life that I want to focus on, and statements of how I want my life to look like at the end of 2025, look like and feel like. So this being just the 1st of January, I am still at the beginning phases of looking at what I want in 2025. So I'm not in a position to share what that looks like yet, but this just a reminder that this process of figuring out what you want in this next year should not be done in just a few minutes or hours. It needs to take a few days or even a few weeks to complete. Because what I want my life to look like and what you want your life to look like at the end of 25 should not be a rush decision. It needs to be aligned. Your head and heart need to be in alignment on what you want this year to be like for you. So, one thing I've realized about myself over the years, and I'm sure that you can relate, is that when I set a goal too quickly without thought and reflection on it, that the goal pretty much fades as quickly as I made it because it's not anchored in. It's not really truly what I really wanted. It's just a kind of a fleet of a moment, kind of spur of the moment kind of idea. But what I want you to take away is that you can do anything your heart desires. With a little bit of reflection and review, you can set yourself up for a successful year. So start now by reviewing this past year and tuning into what you want to do, be, and feel like by the end of 2025. So, happy new year to you and your family. I hope you find the courage and strength to challenge yourself, to visualize, plan, and become the person you want to be in 2025.